CSTIC TV, tu portal de tecnología e informática, al servicio de la sociedad y los negocios.
Se generan productos más especializados y vemos que los atacantes están publicando cada vez más información. Solo en el 2019 tuvimos 11.3 billones de récords o de registros expuestos. Los aplicativos, los microservicios, los APIs sufrieron una gran serie de ataques y las empresas, sus organizaciones, cada vez más están sufriendo para identificar no solo ataques maliciosos fuera de la organización, sino también internamente. Como tal, vemos que la seguridad está evolucionando y se vuelve más compleja. Probablemente sabías que los cibercriminales informáticos no se tomarían un descanso de sus crímenes solo por la pandemia. Sin embargo, pocos esperaban o esperábamos que durante 2020 fuera el peor año en cuanto a filtraciones de datos. Los ciberdelincuentes se están aprovechando del pánico pandémico mundial para atacarnos. De acuerdo a Verizon, más del 70% de los ataques cibernéticos hoy en día están motivados por temas económicos, seguidos por el robo de propiedad intelectual y el espionaje. Se estima que el costo total de las brechas de seguridad en 2025 será de 10.5 billones de dólares. Esto es un crecimiento del 15% anual, año contra año. Solo en 2021 será de 6 billones de dólares. 36 millones de registros expuestos al final del tercer trimestre de Q3 de 2020. Sabemos que la ciberseguridad cuesta. En el estudio de State of Ransomware de 2021, 32% de las empresas que sufrieron un ataque de ransomware pagaron, a un costo promedio de $170,000 aproximadamente. Estos costos no solo nos afectan desde el punto de vista económico, también nos afectan muy importante nuestra reputación. Los estudios muestran que una empresa pública que es atacada pierde hasta un 8% de su valor por estas situaciones. Por lo tanto, vemos que la transformación digital, los nuevos productos y servicios que nosotros como empresa necesitamos o como empresas necesitamos lanzar y publicar, tienen que ir de una manera rápida. Cada vez más la seguridad es parte integral de nuestro modelo de negocios o de las decisiones que tenemos que tomar como organización. Los SOCs están sufriendo una fatiga por tantos ataques que tienen que estar identificando y de tantos alertas que reciben, tienen que enfocarse en tratar de identificar los ataques más importantes. La fragmentación de tecnología, el tener diferentes ecosistemas no nos facilita la vida. El 75% de los usuarios en Internet durante el 2019 realizaron una transacción económica a través de un aplicativo, la compra de un servicio o de un producto. Comparado con 2015, que fue del 18%, tuvimos casi un incremento del 60%. Temas regulatorios se han incrementado en algunas industrias. La mezcla de tecnologías o la coexistencia de tecnologías legacy con nuevas tecnologías nos sigue complicando el panorama en temas de seguridad. El tema importante, la competencia. Nosotros como organizaciones necesitamos, y el negocio nos lo demanda, seguir lanzando este tipo de productos innovadores. ¿Qué tenemos con esto? A final de cuentas, se crea el escenario perfecto para tener una tormenta. Una tormenta en el que los datos son el centro de atención. Tenemos que los datos son monetizables, son muy atractivos desde el punto de vista económico. Tenemos industrias o verticales altamente reguladas, ambientes complejos de administración de seguridad. Y desafortunadamente los equipos de seguridad dentro de nuestras organizaciones, así como los presupuestos, no están creciendo. Siempre se nos pide que hagamos más con lo mismo, o inclusive a veces con menos. Y el historial de brechas de seguridad que tenemos. Sabemos que nuestra organización va a ser atacada. Tenemos que tratar de identificar y estar preparados para cuando esto suceda. Y en adición, tenemos también las altas multas que se generan dependiendo de la industria que tenemos. A final de cuentas, los retos los tenemos. Estamos coexistiendo y viviendo con ellos. El 66% de las empresas en todas las industrias están haciendo una adopción de Database as a Service. Están evolucionando y moviendo servicios a las nubes, cargas de trabajo, muy importante. Pero también vemos que el 66% de estas empresas consideran a la seguridad como su mayor riesgo. Y en segundo término, el cumplimiento de regulaciones. Esa es la realidad, esto es lo que estamos viviendo. Y lo que sucede a final de cuentas es que muchas de estas empresas están regresando los servicios de la nube a los servicios on-premise. El 73% de las empresas que se movieron a la nube por alguna u otra razón, principalmente por temas de seguridad, especialmente por temas de seguridad, han regresado estos servicios on-premise. A final de cuentas, la seguridad no debe de detener el negocio. No debemos de ser una carga para la organización. En Imperva queremos mostrar este diagrama solo para ejemplificar y mostrar cuál es el camino de los datos y cómo nuestros datos en el centro de nuestra organización pueden ser afectados por factores externos y por factores internos. Pero hay un camino hacia ellos y diferentes ataques en cada uno de estos pasos o en cada uno de estos caminos. No voy a entrar a detalle de los ataques que pudiéramos tener. Solo quiero mencionarles que durante las sesiones del día de hoy platicaremos al respecto. Algo que estamos haciendo en Imperva y que nos sentimos muy orgullosos es que hoy en día ayudamos a proteger a más de 6,000 organizaciones a través de las diferentes etapas de seguridad. Aseguramos las cargas de trabajo y los datos independientemente de dónde se encuentren. Y buscamos automatizar y facilitar las implementaciones para poder tener un modelo sustentable. En Latinoamérica, el punto que nos interesa hoy en día más, como Imperva les podemos platicar que tenemos más de 200 instituciones financieras hoy en día que confían en nosotros para ayudarlos en la protección de sus datos. Tenemos más de 120 entidades gubernamentales en Latinoamérica, desde ministerios de defensa hasta ministerios de Hacienda, en el que de alguna manera ayudamos a la protección de la información y los datos. Agradecemos su confianza que nos brindan para ayudarles en este tema. Estamos creciendo en Imperva y solo este año hemos crecido en más de 60 nuevos clientes en toda la región. Seguimos creciendo, seguimos innovando. Como Imperva, nuestros productos siguen creciendo y seguimos innovando. Y en Latinoamérica estamos creciendo de maneras importantes. Nuestros puntos de presencia, lo que nosotros llamamos POPs, previo a la pandemia teníamos 3 en Latinoamérica. Uno en México, en la Ciudad de México, uno en Sao Paulo, Brasil, y Buenos Aires, Argentina. Recientemente anunciamos Santiago de Chile y espero que próximamente podamos compartirles la buena noticia de que tendremos uno más en Colombia. Estamos invirtiendo en Imperva en Latinoamérica. Así como invertimos en POPs, en puntos de presencia, también estamos invirtiendo en los equipos de apoyo, equipos de soporte para poder ayudarnos y hacer mejor el negocio. Hoy en día tenemos equipos dedicados para trabajar en México, en Centroamérica y el Caribe, en OLA, en el sur de Latinoamérica y en Brasil. Equipos físicos, personas enfocadas en trabajar y desarrollar esos territorios de la mano de ustedes. También estamos creciendo de equipos de soporte. Ya contamos con equipos de Customer Success enfocados 100% en Latinoamérica, hablando español y enfocados en mejorar la experiencia y el ciclo de vida de nuestros clientes en Imperva. En adición a esto, también tenemos la flexibilidad de soluciones. Creemos que es importante, sobre todo en nuestro mercado, en Latinoamérica, tener esa flexibilidad de que si hoy nuestra estrategia es estar on-premise o tener nuestra seguridad o soluciones on-premise, poder iniciar con el desarrollo y la seguridad on-premise y evolucionar hacia la nube en el momento que esté listo. ¿Qué quiero decir con esto? La flexibilidad de nuestros productos, la flexibilidad que queremos tener en este sentido, ya sea on-premise, en la nube o un ambiente híbrido. Y honrar las inversiones que ustedes hagan para poder movernos de esta manera. También tenemos como oferta importante productos específicos para la región. Un entry level más accesible, puntos de entrada menos onerosos para poder estar trabajando con ustedes directamente. Son puntos importantes que tenemos en Imperva y en base a nuestra visión, con 3 pilares muy importantes. Les mencionaba alguno de ellos ahorita. La seguridad en la frontera, lo que llamamos Edge Security, donde tenemos nuestros POPs. El siguiente pilar es la aplicación o la seguridad de los aplicativos, donde no solo hablamos de WAF, hablamos de protección de APIs, hablamos de Advanced Bot Protection, hablamos de RASP y seguimos con Data Security. Muy importante, los datos como el centro o como el punto final del camino hacia ellos, donde hablamos de temas de regulaciones, de governance, de data security. Todos estos temas están contemplados en estos 3 pilares. Quiero aquí mostrarles dónde nosotros estamos trabajando y apoyando en temas de seguridad. Nosotros hablamos de una visión completa, una visión integral, desde las amenazas que tenemos tanto externas como externas, hacia el centro, hacia los datos, hacia nuestro core, con diferentes productos o diferentes soluciones que nos permiten incrementar la seguridad dentro de sus organizaciones. Pero un punto muy importante en esto es que también nuestras soluciones son modulares. Podemos convivir e integrarnos a otras soluciones existentes y podemos estar realizando solo ciertas actividades dentro de su organización para poder evolucionar de acuerdo a lo que su negocio lo requiera, sin importar dónde viva esta información. Como tal, creemos que debemos de facilitar la vida, darles herramientas para la automatización. Hacer más con menos es importante. Tenemos que ayudar con la carga de trabajo que tienen como organizaciones. Es mucho el trabajo que se tiene. Debemos de proporcionar soluciones de frontera hacia los datos con una visión completa. Tenemos que buscar el performance o el rendimiento empresarial. Reportes automatizados, preconfiguraciones. A final de cuentas, debemos de facilitar la vida de nuestros productos y la vida de ustedes dentro de la organización para poder proteger sus activos de manera importante. Como Imperva creemos que tenemos una visión diferente. Somos una empresa enfocada 100% en temas de seguridad. No hacemos virtualización y además algo de seguridad. No hacemos balanceo y además algo de seguridad. No hacemos infraestructura o servidores y algo de seguridad. Estamos enfocados en puntos específicos de seguridad y en cada uno de estos puntos somos líderes. Y como tal, también nos integramos con diferentes tecnologías y socios de negocio. Entre ellos, algunos que estoy mostrando aquí. Sabemos que somos un componente más dentro de sus organizaciones y como tal nos integramos con ellos. Por lo que, a final de cuentas, eso es lo que les quiero platicar el día de hoy. Les pido, por favor, que nos acompañen el resto del día y que nos permitan acercarnos a ustedes para identificar cómo podemos ayudarlos dentro de la etapa de la transformación digital que estén viviendo actualmente. Muchas gracias y de nuevo, bienvenidos.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. We know that your time is extremely valuable, and we are delighted that you have joined us to learn more about what we are up to at Imperva. Before getting started, I wanted to thank those of you who are using our solutions today for being our customers. Through the sessions today, we hope that you get to learn more about what we are up to as a company, and that you can see that we continue to invest in innovating on your behalf, and we are delivering on our commitment to be a strategic partner to you by innovating and by expanding our portfolio and helping you do more with less. And to those of you who are not Imperva customers today, but who are considering our solutions, we hope that the sessions today allows you to learn more about Imperva and why we are leaders in the markets that we serve. And to our channel partners and our alliance partners on the call, thank you for your partnership, and we look forward to building our businesses together. So let's jump right in. At Imperva, we spend a lot of time looking at the overall threat landscape. We have our own threat research team whose job it is to analyze the huge volumes of traffic from the threat landscape and that we get through our systems every day. And let's just say that 2021 year to date has not been a good one. On every conceivable statistic, the data is showing a material increase in attack volume and in impact, and it should represent a very big cause for concern for companies who do not have the right protections in place. And what has been really noticeable to us is the shift from small time or cottage industry cybercrime to far more sophisticated professional league organized cybercrime. And this is being reflected both in terms of the sophistication we have seen in attacks in recent times, both in terms of how the attack is orchestrated, as well as the rewards that are being reaped by the attackers. Today, cybercrime and security incidents represent some of the most pressing issues facing businesses today because they represent really disruptive events which impact the top line and the bottom line of a business. And what is really interesting about what it is we're seeing is that although some of these threat vectors or attack vectors, they're not new and they have been around for a while, the scale and the intensity and the impact of those attacks are far more impactful and far more significant than before. An example is Ddos, or denial of service, an attack service in its own right that is not new. It's been around for a while, but we have seen almost a 300% increase in denial of service attacks in the first half of this year alone. And what we're observing is both a change in the form of the attack, coupled with the fact that they are being launched as a ransomware event. And they're taking advantage of the fact that any interruption in terms of a company's ability to do business with their customers is lost revenue and it's lost business. And we as a company have had to do a lot of emergency onboarding of companies onto our DDoS solution for this reason, because they are being the subject of repeated attacks. And unfortunately, we don't see this slowing down anytime soon. Another area where we have seen heightened activity and impact is the impact of bad bots who have been leveraging the upsurge in global traffic due to the global pandemic. Our research has identified that 41% of internet traffic in 2020, 41% of total online traffic in 2020 was not human in nature. While the level of bad bots who were there to commit fraud or some other malicious activity reached its highest level in terms of percentage of traffic since the Imperva Research Labs began tracking this back in 2014. Bad bots are now more sophisticated than ever. They're mimicking human behavior in ways that make them really hard to detect and prevent. And they allow attackers to perform a vast array of malicious activity, fraud, theft, which impacts the top and the bottom line of a business. Now, I could spend the whole session going down through the list here and speaking to other data points on this slide, but the bottom line is that the financial impact and the business impact of security breaches and attacks has reached an all-time high, which is why across the board, it's been elevated to a really dominant board-level discussion because of its broad business impact. Now, at the same time as having to solve for more sophisticated threat vectors and a more sophisticated attack surface, it's made even more complicated by the fact that the overall technological environment is far more complex. Many years ago, when I started off in enterprise security, enterprise data was mainly stored in a limited form behind a company's firewall. You know, you fast forward to today and enterprise data is basically existing in structured, in semi-structured, in unstructured format, and it's distributed, all that data is distributed on-prem, in public clouds, in private clouds. You know, I speak to a lot of prospects and who are interested in learning about our security solutions. And I'm struck by the high proportion of them who don't have confidence that they understand where their data is. And they absolutely don't believe that it is secure. Then, if you look at the apps layer on top of that, the same is also true. The traditional flavor of monolithic apps has been replaced by, or it is coexisting with, microservices and serverless functions. And then you add APIs to the mix, which, by the way, Gartner is saying they expect to be the most frequently attacked enterprise web application vector by 2022, then the situation becomes even more complex again. So this picture, to us at least, reflects what a typical enterprise business looks like today, where data is everywhere, applications exist in many forms, and there's a heavily deployed API setup. And all of this is distributed on-premise, in public clouds, in private clouds. That is what a typical enterprise business looks like today. That is what the cybersecurity industry must solve for, as that is reflective of the reality and the world that we live in. And because this reflects the reality of our customers who operate in this highly distributed setup, this is where we as Imperva have been focused, and this is where our expertise lies. Being able to cope with the complexity of multiple deployment methods, intersecting with various flavors of data forms, and running the gamut in terms of permutations and combinations. And this is where and how we can support our customers from wherever they are in their cloud transformation journey, whether they're on premise, whether they're lifting and shifting to the cloud, whether they're refactoring on the cloud, or replatforming using services, using serverless, using data event workloads, and using data lakes. We have greatly expanded our portfolio to solve for these pressing issues that are facing businesses today, to deliver a solution that operates across a hybrid environment and delivering those insights under a single pane of glass. And we are unique being able to solve for this complexity. And the reason why we've done it is because our customers have asked us to expand our portfolio so that they can have fewer security vendors, because everybody understands how painful it is to integrate point security solutions from multiple vendors. And this is a big driver why we have invested as a company in bringing our application security and our data security solutions together in one platform. We are the only cybersecurity company who are focused on application security and data security, wherever those applications and wherever that data resides and whatever form that they take. And another thing that you can be sure of is that Imperva will continue to be squarely focused on cybersecurity as a pure play cybersecurity company. Unlike some of our competition who are looking to get into the security space, to sell their infrastructure, and by pushing good enough security, we are squarely focused on building and selling the best security products in the market. And we are unique in that our products are leaders in quadrants or waves for all of the products that we offer to our customers. Something that makes us unique and something that is very important to us to be the best of breed as well as being the best of platform. And that is why we count some of the largest and most highly regulated companies as our customers today. And working with these customers has allowed us to ensure that we build in sophisticated capabilities into our products. A big focus of mine since coming to Imperva as CEO has been to focus on time to value, which is how quickly we can onboard customers onto our solutions and show value, as well as total cost of ownership. And so that our solutions can be accessible to customers big and small, and so that we can help our customers do more with less, something that is very important to them in the current environment. Another big focus of mine since coming to Imperva has been on investing in innovation and in people so that we can deliver more value to our customers. We have increased our investment in product and innovation by almost 1/3 in the last 12 months. And we have increased our population of Impervians around the world to support our customers by almost the same level. We at Imperva are feeling really good about our strategy, and this is reflective of the increase in the business velocity that we've had in recent times, as you can see from some of the stats here on the slide. But our number one priority is the success of our customers and to deliver great outcomes for our customers. And that's really what drives us here at Imperva. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting many of you at some point in the future in person once we get through this pandemic. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. It's great to see you. My name is Kunal. I'm Imperva's Chief Technology Officer, and I'm going to walk you through our product vision and our roadmap today. So let me get started by setting the scene. Now, you've already heard from our CEO, Pam Murphy, about some of the big trends and some of the big attacks that are happening right now. But what I wanted to do is zoom in a little bit and really talk about how attackers are targeting applications, APIs, and data stores today, and just some of the things that we're seeing. When it comes to applications, we're seeing attackers, specifically bots, trying to do more account takeover now than ever before. Now, you may have heard of account takeover. You may have also heard of it called credential stuffing. Ultimately, it's when you have bots or automated attacks that are trying to break into an application by trying a significant number of usernames and passwords to get into the system. And ultimately, that will lead to things like data exposure. We've also seen a rise in DDoS-based ransomware, specifically organizations or bad actors targeting organizations with large volumetric attacks, hopefully to get the organization to pay a ransom. And as you can imagine, if the attack is successful, that can bring down the network and that can bring down delivery to critical applications and business APIs. Now, the other issue that we see with respect to applications is what we call the software supply chain, specifically attackers that are trying to go in and break the software supply chain, compromise the software supply chain to get an application to do things that they want it to do. So maybe leak sensitive information or tamper the application to get it to misbehave in a particular way that's beneficial to the attacker. Now, that's what we see in applications. With APIs, we've also seen a pretty big change. The number of APIs that exist have significantly gone up. In fact, Imperva processes a significant number of more traffic related to APIs today than ever before. Now, with APIs, we've seen an increase in things like indirect data exposure because APIs are sitting directly in front of databases, yet they are a type of application. We see attackers going directly after APIs to compromise a massive amount of information today. We also see issues around API misconfiguration, specifically not configuring authentication and authorization-based controls around those APIs, which can lead to, again, data exfiltration or data exposure. Also, data tampering through APIs, very similar to how we see attackers try to go after applications to tamper information downstream. And then you see what we call, with respect to data stores, some of the big classes of attacks. Specifically, again, we talked about applications and APIs. Well, applications and APIs are primarily used to get access to data. And so what we're finding right now is attackers are attacking applications. They're attacking APIs so they can get to those insecure, they can target those insecure applications and APIs so they can get access to that sensitive information downstream. Now, the other issue that we see around data stores is the fact that there's just a general lack of awareness of what's going on with respect to data. A lot of organizations may have visibility around their applications, but they really don't know where all of their data is. They don't know who's accessing the data, where that information is going. And ultimately, that leads to things like sensitive data exfiltration. It's one of the biggest issues that organizations of all shapes and sizes have to contend and deal with today. Now, these are the big issues that we see broken across applications, APIs, and data stores. And Imperva is the only company today that can protect data and all the paths to it, and those paths being applications and APIs. Now, we are the only leader for protecting applications, APIs, and data stores. And what you see right now is what we call our product wheel, where we break it down into what we do at the edge, what we do at the application layer, and what we do with respect to data and data stores. And today, Imperva has been innovating over the last multiple years to effectively bring the best-in-class security solutions at the edge, application, and data tiers all together for all organizations. Now, we have a significant footprint across the globe, across all types of industries, could be healthcare, financial services, retail, telecommunications. And again, we have that position because we continue to innovate, we continue to add new features. If we just take a look at what we've done recently, we've added more than 2,000 features and capabilities over 42 different releases. At the same time, we're extremely partner and customer obsessed, where we have more than 500 annual training sessions. And these training sessions go incredibly deep across all of our products and across all of our capabilities. And of course, we as a business have grown. Despite the pandemic, despite the global pandemic that we've all had to face as a world, we've managed to grow, not just in terms of features and capabilities, but also as a company. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that growth means and what we've done and how that's affecting our roadmap in just a little bit. Now, let's zoom in a little bit to applications and APIs. Now, we protect apps and APIs anywhere. So let me go ahead and walk through what we do inside of edge and application security today. At the edge, we focus on things like DDoS and DDoS protection. So when it comes to things like ransomware DDoS, we'll be able to stop those attackers within 3 seconds. So we have a 3-second SLA from a DDoS perspective. We're the only company in the world to have that. And I'll tell you that a lot of organizations have benefited from Imperva being able to quickly stand up protection across the 48 different points of presence that we have globally to stop those attacks. Now, the wonderful thing about the way we've built our product and the way we've architected the solution is that we are a single stack, and that it's not just what we do with respect to DDoS, but the fact that DDoS is part of what we call application security. So things like our web application firewall, API security, advanced bot protection, client-side protection, it's all part of a single stack. So those 48 points of presence aren't just doing DDoS. Those 48 points of presence are also doing broader application security today. And we have this global unified network, and a global unified network that allows us to stop bad actors and bad traffic as far out as possible while still preserving things like GDPR, CCPA, other privacy legislation. So we make sure that data is held within region. And that's really important to share because we understand the sensitivity around data and data integrity. Now, we process a lot of bad traffic every single month. We analyze a lot of traffic, more than a terabyte more than 1 trillion requests analyzed every single month, with more than 25 petabytes of network traffic. And we stop more than 20 billion attacks. And this is just at the edge. This isn't even talking about what we're doing in terms of core application or core data security. This is at the edge. We're stopping more than 20 billion attacks every single month. And we set some new records recently. So a DDoS attack that was more than 1 terabits per second. Now, it's not, again, what we just do in terms of security. It's also around delivery. A lot of organizations depend on Imperva to not just secure, but also to deliver. And again, we've invested heavily in our global footprint so we can do things like delivery and delivery optimization to get your customers directly to the applications and APIs that matter most. Now, I want to zoom into a quick case study of a business called Amadeus. Now, Amadeus was fighting all sorts of bad traffic, specifically bad bots. Now, bad bots are everywhere. Bad bots make up a significant percentage of the internet. And what we see is right now, a lot of the bots are trying to do what we call account takeover or credential stuffing. And the reason they're doing it is to try and do things basically like sensitive data exfiltration. Maybe they want to transact on a user's behalf. Maybe they want to steal sensitive information, whatever it might be. Amadeus came to Imperva because they were fighting bad bots and they needed a solution to deal with the bad bots all the way as far out as possible. So they worked with us and we deployed our account takeover and advanced bot protection with Amadeus. And very quickly, they were able to decrease the amount of bad bot traffic by 96%. And so they were dealing with 20 million bot transactions. And this was critical. And we were able to significantly decrease that by 96%, which basically allowed their business to function in a much more optimized state, resulting in things like cost savings, resulting in greater business efficiencies, and of course, keeping the bad actors away from sensitive information and trying to attack good users. And this is just one example of a business that was able to take advantage of our ability to stop very bad things all the way out at the edge or at or around applications and APIs today. There's lots more case studies. We invite you, everyone, to go and check them out at imperva.com. You'll be able to go and see many more of our cloud application and just broader application and API-oriented case studies. But let me jump ahead and let me start talking about data and data security. Now, Imperva protects data stores everywhere. And you'll note I'm not just saying database because the world has changed. We're not just talking about databases anymore. Those would be called things like structured data. Now we have to think about things like semi-structured, so things like data lakes, or unstructured like files. And Imperva today protects all types of data stores. Of course, we still protect critical and mission critical databases, but we also protect structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. So a variety of different types of data stores and data platforms. In fact, since we've acquired JSonar, we've expanded our coverage to more than 65 different data platforms today. It's the best in the entire industry in terms of coverage. And that coverage isn't just in terms of breadth. We also focus on depth. And the depth being, we can do things like data discovery, data classification. We can make sure that privileged users are accessing only things that they should be. So again, you look at the broader use cases on the right-hand side of this slide, and it isn't just around compliance, but we can go and cover broader initiatives. Could be around data governance. It could be around sensitive data management or privacy. And we'll talk about that because that's been a new and exciting initiative that we've made in data security this year. And of course, we still give organizations an ability to stop attacks. If organizations want to deploy agents inside of data stores, specifically around structured data stores, they can still do that today. Now, we've seen a tremendous amount of increase of organizations that are going to the cloud. And with that, they may be bringing and creating new types of data platforms. And today, with our Sonar technology and Sonar capabilities, we have an ability to protect all those different types of data stores. So again, it doesn't have to be big relational databases. It can now be semi-structured and unstructured data stores. And the benefit of having Imperva protect all of this is not just that we can see and stop things that are going on around databases, but we can save a lot of time for organizations that are trying to get insights as to what's going on. One of the neat things about what we have within the Sonar platform, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, is our ability to reduce the amount of time that organizations are spending. In a single pane of glass, we can pull all of this together and we can reduce the amount of time that organizations spend investigating and really trying to find interesting things. We surface the key anomalies. And that means that those low risk alerts, we eliminate them. And businesses can just focus on what truly matters, the actual attacks. and the actual critical things that need real investigation. We'll talk more about data security in a little bit, but I wanted to share one case study with you. This is the world's largest payment solutions company. They process so many transactions every single day, billions of transactions, actually every single day. Now, they also generate, on top of the billions of transactions, more than 40 terabytes of audit data every single day. And they turn to Imperva because they can't go through 40 terabytes of audit. No organization today can go through 40 terabytes of audit and pick out what is significant or what are things that need deeper investigation. But with Imperva and looking at our broader capabilities of what we can do in data security, they were able to go from 3 weeks to investigate an issue to less than 1 hour. So instead of having to go through 40 terabytes, which would take 3 weeks using complex alerts and custom patterns and a lot of capabilities that they as a business had to build up, they now use Imperva. And with Imperva Data Security, we basically eliminate all that complexity that the organization needs. And we simply report to them the key anomalies, the key insights, and the key things they have to focus on. And the best part is they now have full peace of mind that Imperva is protecting that sensitive information. And so if anything is happening with sensitive information, how it's accessed, how it's going, how it's stored, we give them all that insights, which basically helps them from a risk management and a risk posture perspective. So that's what we see in terms of data security. And again, like I said with application security, I invite you all to go to imperva.com. We've got many case studies of what we're doing in helping organizations today, not just in data security, but also in AppSec, as mentioned before. Now, when we go back and we unroll that product wheel that we were talking about, Imperva protects all the paths to data. And again, from what we do at the edge, things like DDoS protection, what we do before applications or APIs or at applications and APIs with things like our WAF, API security, bot protection, client-side protection, and even runtime protection, which lives inside of applications, all the way down to data. Things like data privacy, data governance, insider threat prevention, vulnerability discovery. We are focused on protecting the entire stack. And that's what really makes Imperva unique. Again, a lot of organizations may be very focused on point solutions, but at Imperva, we understand that data is one of the most important things that a business can run on. And if we want to protect data, it means that we have to protect the entire journey to that data, from the edge through the application and API layer, all the way down to the data store. And that's why organizations all over the world really trust Imperva and love the vision and strategy that we're able to show. Now, it's great that we have all of these capabilities in terms of what we can do at the edge, application and API layer, and data layer. But how does it all come together for organizations? Well, we call it Imperva Sonar. And Imperva Sonar is a single pane of glass that you heard Pam talk about. And that single pane of glass brings everything together. And it starts with things like behavioral analysis, where again, instead of having to sift through everything that you need across all the different logs, across all the different sensors, we automatically do the behavioral analysis for you. So we'll show you when we find interesting trends or anomalies. We will alert you in real time if something interesting is going on. And it doesn't stop there. We actually build on top of that. So we now have SOAR capabilities. And those SOAR capabilities can be used to do real-time alerting. Maybe you want to change a rule or a policy. Well, with automation and orchestration, we let you do that. And it isn't just across Imperva products. We have more than 260 different playbooks and ecosystem integrations. So maybe you want to work with a different product or a different capability in the overall security ecosystem. You can now do that. So again, it isn't just showing you dashboards and reports, which we can absolutely do, but it's building on top of that to save you time. And every year we save organizations more than 4 million hours with the actionable insights coming out of behavioral analysis today. So again, a lot of rich and deep value within our Sonar platform that really connects the entire portfolio together, that saves time, that provides a lot of value, and again, that really allows organizations of all shapes and sizes to become very, very efficient when it comes to security and security posture management. Now, there's an interesting thing that happens when you can bring the portfolio together. When you can bring edge, application, API, and data security all into a single pane of glass. We call it user-to-data tracking. And this is just one of the unique capabilities that Imperva has today. And it's an edge-to-end view where you can effectively see how sensitive information is being accessed in any environment. So the cool part is we can tell you if it's a human or a bot, if they're coming through a mobile application, if they're coming through a sensitive network, or if they're coming through a good or a bad IP address, or an IP that may have a good or bad reputation. We pass all that information down to the application, and with runtime protection or in-application protection, we're able to go ahead and see exactly what's going on from within the application and tell you who the user is that's logged in, the database query that's executing, the number of records that are being accessed, all the way down connected to data security, where we can do things like data governance and data classification. We can tell you that someone is accessing sensitive information, maybe for PCI reasons or maybe for privacy reasons. And we pull it all together and tell you that, hey, listen, it's abnormal for this user to be accessing these many records. And this is an abnormality. Now, with Imperva, it's not just the visibility that we give you, but it's true digital security in that you can allow us to go ahead and block that bad behavior. So if we see anything interesting going on or anything anomalous going on at the network, at the application, or at the data layer, we can go ahead and take an action. And that's what absolutely separates us from all the other point solutions that are just focusing on things like visibility. We can absolutely deliver visibility, but we can absolutely deliver on protecting and making sure that that information is safe and sound. And of course, pulling it all together into dashboards and reports that make it absolutely easy to see exactly what's going on in your environment. And this is just one of the examples that we have within our Sonar platform, again, called user-to-data tracking. And if you are curious and you want more information about how all of this comes together and what else you can do when all of it comes together, please definitely reach out to us. We'd love to walk you through more about what we're doing with our Sonar platform and where we're taking it. Now, you put all of this stuff together, what we can do again with our security capabilities, how Sonar brings everything together from the edge through the app layer, all the way down to the data layer. And it's no wonder that we have recognized market leadership today. Just recently, we were considered and deemed a leader in Gartner's new Magic Quadrant, Web Application and API Protection. Now, this is a refactor of a very popular quadrant that they've had around web application firewalls. And as you can see, it's expanded to go not just focusing on applications, but applications and APIs. And Imperva has been a leader in this quadrant for 8 years now. 8 years in a row, we've been a leader. And it's because we understand exactly how organizations need to protect applications and APIs from the network all the way down to the application layer. And of course, we have other accolades around bot management, DDoS protection, in-application or runtime protection, as well as in data security too. We're considered a leader in data security, not just around databases, but also around generic data stores. So again, protecting structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. And again, you take a step back and you realize that Imperva has this unique strength and depth, not just broad coverage across edge, app, and data security, but leading in each one of these unique areas. And that unique strength and depth absolutely separates us from the competition. Whereas competition today may only focus on a part of the puzzle, we do all of it. And we do all of it exceedingly well. And we pull it all together. And the reason why we do this again is if we want to protect data, we have to protect all the paths to it. And so to all organizations, we want to share this vision. We want to share our vision of being the best in each one of these different areas, this idea of being best of breed, but also being best of platform, being the only organization in the world that can pull all of this together and provide true digital security for everyone. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about what we've invested in this year and how we've been innovating. So at the beginning of the year, we focused on software supply chains. The world saw a lot of tumult, attacks like SolarWinds and others at the beginning of the year, specifically targeting applications. For those that don't know, software supply chains, as it relates to applications, they're not just about the source code that you write, but it's about source code that may exist in open source libraries or third-party libraries or dependencies. And again, about 85 to 97% of all applications today run on third-party code, which basically means that every application today has a very deep software supply chain. And what we've seen attackers do is target these supply chains. They're looking for vulnerabilities. They're trying to take advantage of them. And when they're successful, this can lead to significant harm and significant issues. So at the beginning of the year, Imperva released support and protection for software supply chains, leveraging runtime or in-application protection, effectively being able to put an agent with no code changes directly into an application to fully protect the software supply chain. So the code that you write and also the code that you didn't. No code changes. And we can now go ahead and protect a full application and all of its dependencies, even the ones you didn't write. And that has been released. That's been generally available for many months now. And we have many organizations all over the world using this capability today. Let's also now talk about serverless. We saw a really big change as well in terms of how organizations were changing the way that they built applications, moving away from large monolithic applications to smaller, functional, serverless-oriented approaches. And what we found is a lot of organizations have embraced serverless. In fact, when you reach out and you see the broader trend going on with AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud, it's amazing to see the rise of serverless and how fast they're growing in their cloud portfolios. But it means that if organizations are going to be building serverless applications and functions, we need to find a way to protect those things. And what we ended up releasing at the beginning of the year was our ability to protect serverless functions. We were AWS's launch partner or inaugural launch partner in terms of being able to protect these serverless functions. And in fact, Imperva today is the only company in the world that can truly protect serverless functions using a layered approach. Again, no code changes. You can now inject security directly into your serverless functions. And we can go ahead and effectively allow development teams to keep writing code, keep writing their functions, but securing the function itself from the OWASP serverless top 10 or the OWASP top 10 or software supply chain vulnerabilities that attackers are trying to exploit in those serverless functions. So we've made a lot of innovation in terms of protecting the supply chain and protecting a newer class of applications, specifically around serverless. Now, a big investment area for us has been API security. APIs and how organizations are utilizing and deploying them have significantly changed over the last 5 years. They're absolutely everywhere. And we don't see the genie going back in the bottle anytime soon. So what's going on right now is Imperva has been investing over the last 3 years heavily in API security. We were the first company that came to market several years ago around building a positive security model around APIs. And again, not just doing things like authentication and authorization, but actually protecting APIs from abuse. So the same targeted attacks that go directly after applications, that's what we focused on. But earlier this year, we released a brand new series of capabilities that take our API security to the next level. And we now do things like API discovery, endpoint discovery, data classification. We even do things like schema generation. So we added a robust set of capabilities that organizations around the world are absolutely loving. It's one of the most fastly adopted Imperva technologies and products that we've had all this year. So again, we encourage everyone who is looking at protecting APIs to really take a look at what we're doing. Now, we also made a very big acquisition earlier this year. We acquired a company called CloudVector. And CloudVector is an amazing company that focused heavily in API security. They have built an incredible amount of advanced technology and capabilities around APIs, not just APIs that are running in the cloud, but also APIs that are running in an on-premise or in a customer managed environment as well. That could be running maybe in AWS or GCP or Azure. And you'll see the CloudVector advanced capabilities come into the portfolio at the end of this year. And you'll see many more of those capabilities be released early next year as well. So we're really excited about what's going on in API security. And we encourage everyone to definitely reach out to us if you're thinking about or you're curious about how we are doing API security different and better than anyone else. In terms of data, the big push that we made this year, on top of integrating JSonar, the acquisition that we did last year, has been really focused on data privacy. Specifically, what we've focused on is a new, different area in data security today, but a fast-growing area where organizations today are trying to understand where sensitive information resides and also comply with things that customers or end users may want, which is understanding and cataloging all that information and allowing them to maybe delete or modify that information, effectively complying with country and regional regulations that we see globally. Now, what we focused on with data privacy in our initial release was to do the automation of things like subject right requests. And what that meant was, today we already do things like data discovery and data classification. Well, we took it to another level with cataloging of personal information. And so we today can build a catalog of where that personal data resides. And tomorrow, let's say an organization or an end user requests that their information is deleted, or if they're curious about how much information is stored or where that information is. Today, as a business, you may be struggling to find and catalog all that information. But with Imperva, we'll automatically do that work for you. And should a subject right request come in to effectively delete or understand where that information is, we'll do that work completely and rapidly in an automatic way. So we're really excited about what we've been doing in data privacy. We have many organizations that are leveraging the entire data security portfolio, including data privacy today. So we're excited about this, and we encourage everyone to dive in deeper to see what we're doing here. I think you'll all be very surprised and excited about how we're going to save organizations a lot of time with respect to dealing with all the things around compliance and regulatory compliance and requirements around data privacy. And last, but certainly not least, is we're going to be releasing a new capability in the future around data access. Specifically, we believe there's a very large gap today between the folks that are building policies and specifically the security teams that are building policies and the database administrators that are focusing on things like entitlements. And that gap is really large. And today, trying to do things like user rights management can be difficult for a lot of organizations. So we're going to make a very big leap in this category. Specifically, what we plan on doing is closing the gap that exists between security and the DBAs, between policy governance and entitlements. And the way we're going to be doing that is by understanding how information is accessed, reducing the privilege and the entitlement space to a small number, but a manageable number that doesn't break an organization, reducing it to provide better and enhanced security, and provisioning accounts and provisioning access on an as-needed basis. So we're really excited about this. We will have way more information to share by the end of the year. We'll have a preview available to organizations globally.
CSTIC TV, tu portal de tecnología e informática, al servicio de la sociedad y los negocios.